There's a number that most personal finance people don't talk about enough, and it's not $1 million. It's not even 100,000. It's $10,000 because something genuinely strange happens once you cross that threshold. Not in your bank account, but in your brain. And once you understand what that shift actually is, you'll never think about saving money the same way again. Let's start with the most important thing. $10,000 is not a life-changing amount of money because of what it can buy you. You can't retire on it, you can't buy a house with it. In the grand scheme of financial goals, it's honestly pretty modest. But that completely misses the point. The reason $10,000 changes everything is psychological. It's the first time most people feel what financial security actually feels like. Not as a concept, not as something rich people have, but as a physical sensation in their own life. And once you feel it, you realize you've been operating under a weight you didn't even know was there. Here's what that weight actually is. Financial anxiety triggers your body's stress response. Cortisol, the hormone your body releases when it perceives a threat, is chronically elevated in people living paycheck to paycheck. And cortisol isn't just a feeling bad hormone. Over time, high cortisol levels impair memory, suppress your immune system, disrupt sleep, and increase your risk of anxiety and depression. When researchers study financial stress, they're not being dramatic. They're measuring a genuine biological burden. So when you build a real financial cushion, you're not just feeling better. You are biologically healthier. Your body is literally calmer. And that calm starts showing up in places you'd never expect. Think about the last time something broke. Your car, your phone, an appliance. If you didn't have savings, that event probably hijacked your entire week. You were running through calculations at 2 in the morning, thinking about which bill to delay, who you could borrow from, how long you could hold out. That is not a small thing. That mental spiral consumes enormous cognitive energy. But once you have $10,000 sitting in an account, a car repair becomes an inconvenience. You deal with it, maybe a little annoyed, and then you move on. The crisis simply doesn't happen. And here's the interesting part. Most people who save $10,000 never actually spend it on emergencies. They spend it on opportunities. The security of knowing it's there is often more valuable than the money itself. That freed up mental energy is one of the most underrated benefits of having savings because we have a finite amount of cognitive bandwidth each day. When a significant portion of that bandwidth is constantly occupied by financial micro decisions, do I get the name brand or the generic? Can I afford to go to lunch with my coworkers? Should I put this on the card? There's simply less left for everything else. Less for creative thinking, less for strategic career moves, less for being present with the people in your life. Building savings doesn't just protect you financially, it restores your ability to think clearly. And clear thinking compounds over time in ways that are hard to measure but very easy to feel. Which brings us to risk. One of the most profound shifts that happens after you save $10,000 is your relationship with risk changes completely. Before savings, risk feels existential. Asking for a raise feels dangerous because if it goes badly, you might lose the job, and if you lose the job, everything falls apart. Starting a side project costs money you don't have. Taking a career pivot means a period of uncertainty you literally cannot afford. But when you have a cushion, when you know you can survive for months without income, risk starts to feel like opportunity instead of danger. You walk into that salary negotiation differently. You speak up in that meeting differently. You send that cold email to someone who could change your career because what's the worst that happens? You can survive it. That confidence is not fake. It's not a mindset trick. It's a rational response to having real options. This is what creates what you could call a confidence loop. People with financial security negotiate better salaries, interview with more ease, take on more ambitious projects, and position themselves for better opportunities. Not because they're smarter or more talented, but because they're not operating from a place of desperation. And better outcomes lead to more money, which leads to more security, which leads to more confidence. The loop builds on itself. This is one of the reasons wealth tends to compound socially and professionally, not just financially. The money changes how you show up, and how you show up changes what's available to you. It also changes your relationships. Financial stress is consistently ranked among the top causes of conflict in marriages and partnerships. When money is tight, every purchase is a potential argument. Every setback is a potential crisis, and every disagreement carries the weight of real fear underneath it. That fear makes people short tempered, defensive, and emotionally unavailable. It's not a character flaw, it's a predictable response to sustained pressure. When that pressure lifts, even partially, you become more patient, more generous, more present. You're no longer bracing for the next financial hit, which means you can actually pay attention to the person in front of you. That shift alone, in how you show up in your closest relationships, might be the most human benefit of all. So the obvious question is, how do you actually get there? And here's where most advice goes wrong. People hear save $10,000 and immediately start doing math about how quickly they can do it. They cut everything aggressively, feel deprived, burn out, and slip back into old patterns. The speed is not the point. The identity is the point. The real goal is not to accumulate $10,000 as fast as possible. It's to become someone who saves. Those are completely different objectives, and they require completely different strategies. Saving $25 or $50 a month consistently for as long as it takes is more powerful than a 3-month sprint followed by giving up. Because at the end of the sprint, you might have a few $100s, but you haven't changed who you are. Whereas a small, sustained habit, something you barely feel, quietly rewires your relationship with money. You start seeing yourself as a saver. An identity is far more durable than motivation. Because motivation fluctuates. It responds to how you feel, how your week is going, whether the goal feels close or far. Identity doesn't work that way. Identity is what you do when motivation is gone, when the month was hard, when you're tired and something came up and it would be so easy to just skip it. The person who has internalized, I am someone who saves, makes the transfer anyway, even if it's small, because that's just what they do. And over time, months, years, that consistency produces something that no income level alone can guarantee: real financial security and the life that comes with it. $10,000 isn't the finish line, it's the doorway. On the other side of it is a version of your life where you think differently, feel differently, take more risks, have better relationships, and make better decisions. And the path there isn't about earning more or cutting everything. It's about deciding quietly and consistently to become the kind of person who gets there. Then one day, you wake up and realize your financial situation is finally secure. Just remember, consistency is key. Small, consistent investments will compound over time, and it happens faster than you think. Once you have that mindset, your financial future looks pretty good. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time.